Um, like I said, I think this is extremely interesting in my country right now. Is I think we're seeing a rise in black conservatism, and I actually want to watch this and see what this guy says because I think it's interesting. There we go.
Donald Trump. I wanted to know exactly why so many black people were starting to like him. Better yet, I wanted to know why I was supposed to hate him. I had to ask myself, why are most of the cities with high crime, high poverty, and poor education run by mainly Democrats? Not to say that Republicans are perfect, but it's just something I didn't realize.
Right.
As I asked myself, why are we sitting here complaining about student loans, healthcare, poor infrastructure, all at the same time while allowing millions of illegals to pour into this country and receive benefits from taxpayer money? Like, if our nation is as bad as we say it is, doesn't it make sense to take care of home first before inviting people in? Hell, whether you like Trump or not, we've already had him as a president. We already know what living under Trump is like, and when looking at the data, low interest rates, low unemployment rate, record stock market numbers, bringing back American manufacturing, there was a lot that was done during that time period. And when I sit back and I look around the world today, and I think, are we in a better place now than what we were in 2018, 2019?
So I don't know about other countries, but one of the things I've noticed in mine is like when it comes to the presidents that we have, since they have a 4 year term, you really don't get a full scope of their impact until after they leave office. Is that because it takes so even the world was a better place? I think it's hard to say. I think overall it's better than what it used to be. Some places are really bad, don't get me wrong, and some areas in my country are really bad. But I think it overall it's better than what it used to be. I mean, we used to have plagues that wiped out like entire countries almost, right? The Black Plague, bubonic plague, right? That wiped out so many. We've had world wars a couple of times, and don't get me wrong, we still have war now. We still have disease and all this other stuff, but like we also have things in place to try to help with those things. So I think overall the world is a better place than what it has been historically. Like way better. Oh, when he was in power. So that's the thing is like you you don't what I was saying a minute ago was like you don't get the full like scope of the impact a leader of the US has until usually after they've left because it takes so long for the decisions that they've made to actually like go out and spread. But the funny thing with him was like he was grinding pretty hard. Not to say other presidents don't. So you were starting to see a noticeable change in some of this stuff, even though he only did a 4 year term. Like you were starting to see a noticeable uptick. Now, granted, I don't know how it was towards the end of it. Some people say it was better. Some people say it was worse. I personally don't know. I haven't dived into it that much. But there is an argument to be made. You're right. When he was in office, like people didn't want to screw with him. I'll be honest with you. That's he had a very strong presence on the global stage as a leader, and so it kind of made people realize, like in other countries, like, hey, yeah, this is the country with all the weapons, like full stop. Like no one else has nowhere near as many weapons as the U.S. does. We don't want to fuck with their leader who's willing to go to handle things. He went to North Korea. He did go to North Korea, and he is one of the few presidents who did not start any wars while he was in office. In fact, he was trying to bring people home, if my understanding is correct. Not many did. He legitimately did try to do more peace talks than most other presidents, and with other countries that we've had issues with. A lot of the problem around his presidency, and I want to make it very clear, I'm not really pro Trump or anything like that. I just want someone who'll do a decent job. That's how low my bar set. Um, and the thing about him was like he was actually having peace talks with countries we've had conflicts with, and then the media in my country vilified him for it. And it's like, bro, y'all say y'all don't want no more wars, and here's a guy who's not only is he not starting wars, he's trying to bring people home and end the conflicts, from my understanding, that we've had. And it's like you want this, but you want it to be your guy that you back, and I think this go around that people aren't going to fall for the media shtick that they did last time with him because they know what to expect now.
19 when Trump was in his prime, not so much. If we're being completely real, everything that they said that will happen under Trump has been happening under Biden. There's so much going on, and we're going to talk about that in this video. We're going to outline and discuss why so many black people are starting to support him and so many black people are starting not to like him, and we're going to get my opinion on it all.
If you cannot afford to move out of this country within the next year, I need you to take Project 2025 and Trump potentially getting reelected very seriously, because if it happens, Trump and his supporters have every intention of taking the livelihood away from a lot of people. If it's already hard for you to take care of your financial responsibilities, to take care of your family, if it's hard for you to find medical aid for yourself or people that you love, Trump is going to make that harder. They plan to put policies in place that will make it very hard for everyone to live in this country unless you have a six-figure salary.
So I don't know what that is. Yeah, what is this Project 25? I don't know. I've heard some things about it. I'm not sure. Like, I don't think most of the people who are talking about it truly know either, because like nowadays, a lot of people who cover political stuff are full of shit, just full on. They are full of it. And it's, yeah.
No one is exaggerating, and I understand that with the political climate that we're in, it can be very overwhelming. And
so at the end of the video, I'll show you something. I'll do a mock-up drawing as to why you should not listen to people who are overly political on the internet.
I understand people that choose to ignore it. However, no one is exaggerating when they say our livelihoods are at stake. It's not going to be a rough 4 years. It's going to be a rough 20 years. It's going to be a rough 30 years, 40 years, because they're putting policies in place that are going to last.
We're going to get into Project 25, but I have to say, it is genuinely sad seeing the sheer amount of fear that this woman has to be living in the United States right now. How inundated this woman is by mainstream media and the things that they're saying and the things that she's reading and how she's interpreting things. That genuine fear, I believe it. I believe she genuinely thinks like you should leave the United States if you have the money to. I genuinely think she believes the next 10, 20, 30 years the United States is going to be horrible because Trump gets elected, if he does get elected, but that's just not the case. I do not feel that way at all. And when it comes to Project 2025, I'll be sure to elaborate on it in another video, so be sure to subscribe for that. But my quick opinion on it is I'm not honestly worried about it at all. It ain't nothing more to me than just a wish list by a bunch of conservative people from a nonprofit think tank. That's it. Which includes a bunch of black people and Hispanic people as well. It's just how they envision our country to be and like a goals and a wish list of what they want. That's it. Do I think that there's some great policies in there? For sure, but there's also a lot of really bad ones.
Yeah.
Again, with this in mind, let's just hear what Trump has to say about it.
And you know, the other side's
The thing about that is I don't know about Project 25, but like both sides of the political aisle tend to do this. They tend to have this list of things they want to accomplish. And like you'll have like 2 or 3 good things, and then you'll have like 12 different things that are just crap. Because they have to perpetuate the narrative of their image onto the masses. So even though they sit there and it's programs that will fail, they'll blame the opposition once they get into power, saying, "Oh, well they canceled it because, you know, they're against us and all this." Meanwhile, no, sometimes they canceled it because your program was failing. It was costing way too much money. It wasn't doing what it set out to do. And then you just weaponize the fact that they're actually doing the right call. Project Give Me Money. That's every project is Project Give Me Money nowadays.
going around trying to make me sound extreme, like I'm an extremist. I'm not. I'm a person with great common sense. I'm not an extremist at all. Like some on the right, severe right, came up with this Project 25, and I don't even know. I mean, some of them I know who they are, but they're very, very conservative, just like you have. They're sort of the opposite of the radical left, okay? You have the radical left and you have the radical right, and they come up with this, I don't know what the hell it is, it's Project 25. He's involved in Project, and then they read some of the things, and they are extreme. I mean, they're seriously extreme. But I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it. But what they do is misinformation and disinformation.
I'm gonna leave that there. We'll talk about it in a whole nother video. That's Trump's take on Project 2025. Y'all heard my take. I'm honestly not worried about it at all. And there's a lot of other black people who are still gonna be voting for Trump that do not care about it as well. And they understand when they look at it and they read it for what it is, it's just a wish list. And not everybody agrees with at that.
And so many of them are Trump supporters. There are black Trump supporters everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, everywhere. And I'm like, wait, we were all here 4 years ago. We were all here when the insurrection happened. We were all here when we saw that man incite violence and these white people took it upon themselves to storm the Capitol. We were all here when that happened. Do you think that he's going to let it go this time? Do you think he's going to be told that he can't be reelected after this presidency? Do you think he is not going to incite violence again? We were all here through that whole 4 years. How do we get to a point as black people that we're going to be in support of a violent man who is trying his best to be a fucking dictator? How have you lost your mind that hard? How have you done it? How have you lost your mind to the point that you're a black Donald Trump supporter? I know they're out there, but it's so many now. So many people are trying to justify.
Of course, I'm not black. I don't know if you noticed, I'm not black. Shocker, I know. But I think one of the reasons why we have a rise in black conservatism in America is because back during the civil rights era, they'd have pillars of the community. And so what would happen is the pillars of the community would meet with like political leaders and stuff like that and represent their communities. Well, now in the information age, you don't have that anymore in black communities like you did. So black Americans are able to access the same level of information that the pillars of the communities used to have. And so they have an easier time representing themselves instead of relying on leaders in their own communities to encourage them one way or another. And I think because of that, because black Americans are getting away from that and they're getting the access to the information and they're getting the same level of access across the board as these people who used to lead the communities, you're seeing people actually voting politically according to their own values instead of being pushed narratives by individuals in their community that they trusted but could have been bad faith actors. Not saying they were, I'm saying they could have been, if that makes sense. That's what I think anyway. And again, this is an outside observer perspective from a white dude in Arkansas. Legit. I think that's why we see a rise in black conservatism in America. And I think that's ultimately a good thing because you need representation on both sides of the political aisle if you want any type of progress. You can't just have it at one.
Themselves as being black Trump supporters, it is insane to me. We were all here. We all witnessed him being a president. It's not a good look at all. There's nothing is worth it. A stimulus, nothing is worth it. Nothing is worth this violent man who can't take criticism. No, we can't do it again.
She's about to have a heart attack. Blood pressure's too.
You're right. I think there's a certain level of being on social media is part of it. Being on the internet in general is part of it, but it's a double-edged sword, right? The internet gives you access to information that can help you make an informed decision. However, a lot of these sites, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and all that, they have these algorithms that pump these feed into your head if you watch it. And it's very easy to skew your worldview because of that algorithm. Like literally I sat there and I did that one react video to like men and dating. And then all of a sudden I have like this incel like flood because of the algorithm. Or I go on TikTok and I watched a brief, or not TikTok, but on like X or Twitter. And I watched this one little dude who was making one point about an issue I was interested in. And then all of a sudden I get flooded with conservative like people and influencers and stuff, even though I'm not conservative. And it's funny how like the internet has been such a blessing in connecting people. But now with these algorithms, it's become a curse because now it's skewing your worldviews and just one click, it completely reshapes your mind by inundating you with these videos that really aren't the whole picture at all. It's just kind of optimistically terrifying at the same time, I guess.
Too high, calm it down, breathe. Remember, like you said, we already had him as a president. And I'm sure, like a lot of us, we were just fine under his presidency, okay? I'm so tired of hearing about him being hateful and Jan 6 and all the violence. When we saw what 2020 was like, we know very clearly what went down and the sheer amount of protests and riots that took place, okay? The main reason why I do not care when people bring up January 6th and this and that, oh, you shouldn't vote for him because that was the worst day in democracy. I'm sorry.
By the way, I really do think Trump did incite it. I know some people don't. I do think he did. I think I really do think he did. I think one of the reasons why he did, because he's willing to walk the line legally. But I think that day he did cross it. And I think he should be held accountable to it. But I also think every political leader my country has ever had should stand trial at the end of their terms, because every one of them is corrupt as shit. I think every political leader in my country should stand trial by the people, period.
There's a lot of footage that people just have not seen, okay? There's footage of police walking around with people inside the Capitol. There's videos of the police giving basically a tour to some people in the Capitol. Like, yes, there were a lot of dumb people that day who were very hateful and spiteful and trying to incite violence. I get it. But one thing is for sure, there's a lot of people who do not have the full story from that evening, the amount of corruption that...
Yeah, every political leader should stand trial at the end of their terms. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean they're like guilty of anything, but a lot of them have done stuff that is not in alignment with their role as leaders. A lot of them have done stuff that is not within the interests of their country or their people. And I think that doing a trial will shine a light on that oftentimes. You know, of course it would probably be corrupt as crap, and it'd probably be just an exercise in futility, but I think there's something to be said about doing that, because I think it'd make them think at least twice about some of the decisions they make that screw over their own people.
Took place on that day, and it's clear the footage I just showed they kept for a reason to help control the narrative, especially regarding the George Floyd riots in 2020. I don't see how someone can say Jan 6 was so worse and the worst in democracy when not even 6 months prior to Jan 6, this was the streets of DC. Like, they quite literally set a church on fire.
St. John's Church is on fire. The parish office, we went downstairs and it is on fire. I'm going to walk. We saw graffiti. Once the door was broken, we saw something similar happen earlier.
I just can't sit here in good faith and be upset and pin all this Jan 6 stuff on Trump when we lived the reality that was 2020 and the sheer amount of corruption and crime that took place. And I know there's a lot of other black people who agree with me and feel the same way. They understand how corrupt and how crazy that year was compared to Jan 6, and Jan 6 was quite literally nothing to them. 2020 was such a brutal year, and it was very awakening for a lot of people, because in that year, if you were outspoken, woo child, the amount of stress you were put under, the amount of censoring you were put under, the amount of backlash from your family, it really made a lot of people just shut up, honestly. And it sucks because people shouldn't have to fear being canceled or doxxed or fired from their job for simply sharing an opinion that they hold. If you're someone that is about to start speaking up a lot more when it comes to your opinions and how you feel about certain things, then I think it's definitely worth taking a look in today's sponsor, Aura. The problem is that these data brokers pull any information they can on you and then they sell it for profit.
Nice segue into
beyond shady and creepy
product
that
placement.
much of our
I dig it. Respect.
out there on Google for anyone to find. However, with Aura, this all comes to an end. It's a service that protects all of your information online and does honestly a lot more in one app. They do the reaching out to data brokers to help remove your information, which is awesome because by law, they're required to do so, but they make it extremely hard for you to request and take it down. So just let Aura handle all that for you. They got spam call protection, identity theft protection, financial fraud protection, it's a VPN, it's a password manager. It's so much all under one app that is nationally recognized and respected. It's digital protection for everything that matters, and given that my life is online, I'm very thankful to have Aura to protect me, and not just me, a ton of y'all too. Not even kidding, I opened up a new bank, and I went home, and I want to say not even an hour later, I was getting a bunch of texts from Aura like, yo, was this you? There's this account out here, this is this. I'm like, damn. Y'all are really on it. So this past year using Aura has been amazing, and I'm ready for many years to come. And the choice is up to you. Either you can continue to let people profit off of your private information and be stolen and sold, and you can be put at risk, or you can go to aura.com/Amir or scan the QR code here on the screen for your 2-week free trial. And the link is also below in the description.
What are the black jobs?
They're taking black jobs now.
What are the black jobs that he thinks immigrants who have come into this country who are undocumented
Illegal.
are taking? What are the black jobs? He used his answer on the debate stage to try to pit black people against Hispanic people in this country.
Wrong. He said that to let people know, the people who already do know, how bad the illegal immigration has come. He ain't saying anything about the Hispanic people. He said illegal immigrants, of which, yes, largely Hispanic, but he's not blanketing all Hispanic people. He's not pitting the two races together. He clearly is talking about illegal immigration.
Because he thinks it will benefit him at the ballot box in November.
So here's the deal. Like, I understand what she's saying, because to phrase it like black jobs is bad. Low skill jobs, yeah, that's kind of a given, right? But you can't make this argument while at the same time the Democrats in my country have sat there and basically just been farming black votes for fucking decades now. Like, what are you talking about here, lady? Like, you've been getting farmed by Democrats. The black people in America have been getting farmed by Democrats for decades now.
How little does Donald Trump think of black people and
I hate to break it to you, but if you think Donald Trump thinks little of black people, literally the Democrats have sat there for decades painting y'all as like poor, ignorant, like you need help, you need all these other stuff. Like they've been capitalizing on your, like, period. They've been capitalizing on black troubles for decades now, which is sad. But if that's your concern, then are you calling out them as well? That's my question. I'd ask her.
black voters and Hispanic people and the Hispanic voters in this country? How little does he think of us?
The funny part is that he thinks of us a lot. He's actually connecting with these communities because they understand the people that are there dealing with it are not liking it.
The mayors of Chicago, New York City, and now Denver are all requesting federal help and coordination with Texas over the growing number of asylum seekers arriving in their cities.
You want this help from the government now, but you out here sitting and promoting and advocating for illegal immigration. So you want to talk all that smoke and let Texas deal with it. Because now when Texas is saying, no, you're not going to vote and push for illegal immigration that I'm going to have to deal with, I'm going to send them to y'all so y'all can deal with it. Now you got a problem. Fake. New York is being run over with these migrants and they're not liking it. And where are they going? To the black neighborhoods, okay? That's why he said that. That's why he's talking about the black communities and they're taking the black jobs because they're going there and it's cheaper to pay an illegal under the table cash than it is to hire somebody in the local neighborhood. Let's take a look at Chicago, another community that is fed up with these illegal immigrants.
When do citizens of the United States of America come first?
On the southwest side, city officials getting an earful.
How about this? Give them all these politicians' addresses and put them in their backyards, in their basements, in their houses.
This meeting at Richard J. Daley College comes as this.
All those black people in there mad. You can't hide this. It's a sea full of black people angry that the illegal immigration has gotten this bad. Keep talking about Hispanics versus blacks. No, there's some real stuff going on and people are fed up. So this is another reason why a lot of black people are sitting here being real with themselves. Like, you know what? I know Trump's gonna put an end to this. And that's why there's a rising support for blacks for Trump, because they're tired of all this debauchery that is going on in the United States of America right now under Biden's presidency.
All right, so I just wanted to clarify something real quick in regards to people like myself who support President Trump. Because I think there's a major misconception that, people think that it's just all about him. But I think the part that they're missing is that, you know, there's a lot of younger black voters who have realized that, you know, your race doesn't have to dictate how you vote. You know, you being black doesn't obligate you to vote for the Democratic Party. You don't have to. You can actually just vote your values. You can prioritize the issue.
See, went back to what I said. People are getting more access to information. They don't have those pillar community barricades anymore. And so they're voting according to their own personal values. That's why you're seeing a rise in black conservatism. And it's going to be a good thing for black Americans overall, because then they'll get representation on both sides of the political aisle, which are desperately needed to improve their quality of life and their circumstances in America.
Issues that are important to you. And so that's what a lot of us are doing today. I'll give you an example. We have a two-party system, right? Basically, two-party system. You have one party that supports school choice, the other one doesn't. I like school choice. You know, I think that if a parent can have the option or the opportunity to get a voucher, send their kid to a private school, or send their kid to a really good charter, then that's exactly what you should do. And I don't care about this notion that, you know, it's going to hurt the public schools and it's going to make the public schools worse. They couldn't possibly get any worse than they are. I'm sorry, they're already terrible. So,
and school choice is such a simple thing to back. It's like parents should have the choice to send their child to whatever school they want to go to.
Again, two-party system. One likes open borders, the other one doesn't. I prefer a secure border. And there's no discussion here. The numbers don't lie. 400,000 in 2020 migrant encounters. 1.6 million the very next year, 2021. End of discussion, case closed. Again, two-party system. One party seems to be very aggressively pushing this agenda, this ideology that just completely defies the science of biology. And we're supposed to bend the knee, throw away our common sense, disregard our beliefs for somebody else's delusion. And I'm saying no. I'm going with the appropriate party because it's a hard no for me.
Which, that alone is very interesting, because there's so many people backing Kamala because she's a woman, because she's a black woman, but you can't even define me what a woman is. There's all this hipping and hollering about supporting women. You can't even define it. If men can be women and women can be men, that makes us null and void. That means there's no difference. That means there's no gender pay gap. That means we've already had a female president. Because, I mean, if it's just interchangeable and it doesn't matter, then, I mean, Trump can technically just say he's a woman and then boom, there's the first female president. Per your logic. Not mine, yours.
And we can go on and on and on. Billions and billions of dollars over to Ukraine. Why? It's 1,000,001 problems right here. And I'm going to finish by saying this. You see, because there's a party who is constantly telling me that I'm a victim, that I'm oppressed, that I can't do anything, that white people have all the privilege and my country hates me.
This goes back to what I said earlier. The Democrats have been farming black votes for decades now. There you go. This is the narrative that gets pushed by them.
Me, and I need them, that they are my saviors. And I just reject.
The sad thing is, at one time it was black Americans telling them that. Now it's the Democratic Party telling black Americans this stuff.
That notion.
That's exactly how so many black people feel. It's how I've always felt. Like, you can't sit here and tell me I'm a victim time after time after time. You can't. You just can't.
You're not talking to them old church folk no more, right? You talking to informed a group of people who grew up in the internet age.
Yes. This guy gets it, man. He's going back to what I said. They got rid of pillars of the community that they relied upon during the civil rights era. They all have more access to information, and they're voting according to their own personal values now. So you're seeing a rise in black conservatism, and it's going to be an overall good thing because they're going to get representation on both sides of the political aisle. How the fuck am I white as fuck and middle-aged and I even see this? What?
Anything. We free. We off the Democrat plantation. So while you sitting around thinking that it's about Trump, it's about us. It's the fuck about us.
Yep. It's damn near not even about the person Trump, it's more so the values. But there's so many people who just hate Trump when, like, if you just look at the value, they're not bad. Like, it seems like common sense to want a secure border. It seems like common sense to allow men and women to compete separately. Sounds like common sense to not let minors get surgeries, you know? So that's this guy hit the nail on the head, quite honestly. There's a lot of people who are just fed up with the Democrats and being fed this narrative that they have to hate their country, everything's racist, they need the government's assistance, they're never gonna amount to anything because of white man, when we've seen everything but. Like, come on now.
I've been theory crafting. I have been theory crafting about this, and the reason why is because I used to go down that progressive route. And what made me stop was I watched a video on intersectionality, because you don't want to be a complete shit of a human being. You want to be a decent person, right? We all do. So I was trying to learn more about social issues, and I was watching a video on intersectionality and how, things like race and sex and religion and all this other stuff ties into how it can impact someone, and that's intersectionality. And it makes sense to a certain degree. And then I went out in the morning, that, like, while I was watching the video, I ended it and I literally got up and went to the grocery store, and there was a black lady at the register, and I immediately started theory crafting about, oh, what's her life like? She's, middle-aged, she's black, she's a woman here in the South, and I started going through all this stuff. And I was like halfway walking through the store, and I realized I didn't say good morning. And I didn't say good morning because I did not see a person. I saw a checklist of oppression and not an actual human being. And that's when I started paying more attention to that, the narrative that gets pushed by that progressive movement, and how it actually is dehumanizing people. And the sad thing is they don't think they are, because I don't know why. And that's when I stopped being like progressive and stopped being woke. And then I started going to the opposite end of the spectrum, and I realized I don't want to do that either. So I kind of find myself in this weird place when it comes to my values, when it comes to politics, when it comes to how I think of stuff, where I'm constantly analyzing it, because both sides can make some very strong, valid points, but both sides also are way unhinged and off the rails sometimes.
What do you think is better for the country, Trump or Biden?
Trump.
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 I say Trump.
Why do you say that?
He's a businessman. He's going to think business. And Biden is a racist.
No wars, great policies, best years in the stock market.
Biden ain't doing he gonna get rid of his sleep.
The more we go through this video, I ain't never seen nothing like this. I did not see this much support for Trump from blacks since, like, ever. Like, it wasn't like this in 2020 at all.
My name is Amber Rose.
It wasn't like this in 2020 because mainstream media was skewing the information, and now that we know that they were doing that and the degree in which they were doing that, we don't buy the narrative anymore. So again, this goes back to Black Americans getting informed and voting according to their own personal values, which is a very, very good thing, and I will always say that.
I'm a model and entrepreneur. Thank you. But most importantly, I'm a mother. My whole world revolves around providing for my children, keeping them safe, and giving them an opportunity for a better life. That's something that unites all American parents, whether we're Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, or liberals. We all want a better country for our children.
I heard so much about this speech, but I didn't see it in full yet. I haven't heard the full thing. I watched bits and pieces of RNC that week, but I haven't seen this, and I've been really eager to listen to it, so I'm glad I'm here doing it with y'all.
To tell you, no matter your political background, that the best chance we have to give our babies a better life is to elect Donald Trump President of the United States. Now you may be wondering why I'm up here telling you this. I'm no politician and I don't want to be, but I do care about the truth. And the truth is that the media has lied to us about Donald Trump.
I'm not gonna lie, sometimes when they can't pan over to him on the camera, he looks like some Roman emperor just at the Colosseum.
I know this because for a long time I believed those lies, so I'm here to set the record straight. The first person I knew who supported Donald Trump was my father. I was shocked. My entire family is racially diverse, and I believe the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump is racist.
100% does. I always think of that statue of him where they put his head on the body of the God Emperor of Mankind from Warhammer 40K. It's like, how I don't think I've ever seen a political leader globally as liked and also as hated as he is. It's crazy.
My father said, "No, he's not, Amber. What are you talking about?" And when I insisted, he said, "Prove it." So to prove my father wrong, I did my research and looked into all things Donald Trump. People have to do their research. I watched all the rallies, and I started meeting so many of you, his red hat wearing supporters.
You got to do the research yourself. That's one thing I definitely did when I was like, hey, I hate Trump so much, but why? Let me look into the full thing. Let me get the full scoop on what's happening. And more often than not, the media was just twisting the narrative. Even the Charlottesville good people on both sides, that's already been debunked time after time again. Like, when you sit here and you're being told Donald Trump's a racist, and then you watch all the clips of him being a racist, there's always more context to it, and it's never like really a race thing to begin with.
I realize Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love.
Pantel him. Oh, come on.
Yes, for sure. I've experienced it. I talk about it on this channel. There is your hard right, like far right Christian conservatives that actually do care. But for the most part, when I've gone to all these Trump rallies, I've been to the White House with him several times, being in this like political sphere since 2020. It ain't nothing than what I've experienced and gone through at liberal events, okay? It is not racist over here. It's not that bigoted. It's not that homophobic. Are there some deranged people? Yes. The same way there's deranged people on the left who would get on you for simply just like having an opinion. Like, you're gonna get crapped on anywhere you turn, okay? There's gonna be people who disagree with you anywhere you go. But more often than not, the people on the right, they're way more welcoming.
And that's when it hit me. These are my people. This is where I belong. So I let go of my fear of judgment, of being misunderstood, of getting attacked by the left, and I put the red hat on too. Thank you.
And she got so much flack for it.
Yeah.
So much hate, so much flack for simply standing up and being vocal and supporting her president. And she doesn't regret it. I don't either. Not a lot of people I meet ever regrets it. It's a hard thing to do, but it's so relieving just being able to have open conversations with your friends, just being yourself. Your friends know how you feel about certain things. You're not having to walk on eggshells. You know how to be silent. You can be vocal. Like, it's a whole different world that is just amazing. I still have liberal friends that I disagree with, and it's okay. We have civil conversations that we move on about our day, but they always know how I feel. I'm never being fake about it. I'm not having to hide my views. I'm not having to, you know, if they're talking about something spicy,
and that's the way you should be with your friends. You should be able to have conversations, even if they're a little uncomfortable, and you should still be friends. If they're not, that never was a good friend. They weren't a good friend to begin with.
You just sit there and not be quiet or figure out what to say. No, I can say what I want to say. That's a beautiful thing about being open and vocal about your views. And I think everybody should be able to do that, and I hope that you are too.
When you go to the store and buy food for your family, you're shocked. When you fill up your gas tank, you're pissed. I know I am. And when you turn on the news, you are just exhausted. Inflation is out of control. And you know in your heart it was not like this under Donald Trump.
At all. At all.
My message to you tonight comes from a humble place. The left told me to hate Trump, and even worse, to hate the other side, the people who support him. When you cut through the lies, you realize the truth. American families were better when Donald Trump was president.
I honestly don't know. There was so much misinformation spreading during his era, and they still try to spread it, even though it doesn't work. I legitimately don't know if things were like actually better for the average American. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm not saying it was. I'm saying I don't know.
We were safer, wealthier, and stronger. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote to put money back in our pockets and good food on our kids' plates. Yes. Or, as Trump would say, it's a vote to make America great again. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I know it took a lot to do, so I'm very glad that she did it. I'm very glad she spoke her mind and let it be known the truth for what it is. That there's a lot of people who are being told and push to not only hate Trump, but hate the people that support him. But like Amber said, when you cut through the lies and see the truth for what it is, you'll know that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, and there's a lot more reasons as to why Donald Trump has the support from not just white people, but the black people, Hispanics, gays, and the list can go on and on. That is outstanding. I have to be honest and say I'm very happy to see this amount of support for Donald Trump with black people. Like, I did not see any of this in 2020. It's definitely more. It's definitely risen, and it's because everything that we've gone through the past few years have been BS, and people are waking up to it. Again, it's not even about Trump itself more than it is wanting a better life for us all, and understanding how better our life was under his presidency, under more conservative Republican values than it was liberal ones. Or do liberals have good values? Yes, some do. The same way there's some views on the right that I just completely disagree with. However, if we're going to take into account the state of our country where it is now and everything that conservatives are advocating for, it's an easy vote for me to go towards Trump. And I definitely can see why some people are entertaining RFK Jr., but between RFK and Trump, there's way more people you can go to than a Kamala or Joe Biden, which Joe's not even running anymore, but a Kamala. So we'll see where this election goes. I obviously will be reporting on it. I'll be making more videos about it. There's a lot that's going to be coming towards this channel. I'm very thankful that it's growing at the rate that it is. Road to 300K. I know we're at like 3.
Oh, good for him.
Something, I think. But road to 300K subscribers. I cannot believe I'm even saying that out loud. Thank you guys so much for sharing, liking, and subscribing. It means the world to me. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. Y'all are so amazing, kind, and sweet, and fun, and joyful. And I'm just really thoroughly enjoying having so many conversations with you all, meeting you all, and sharing our conversations with the community. It's one of the highlights of my week, getting to sit down and talk to you guys.
Oh, that's good.
More information on that below. You can sign my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Amir Odom. It'll be right there. And yeah, I hope that you're having a great day. You understand, know, trust, and love. There can be anything you put your mind to. All it takes is tunnel vision, focus on you and only you, and you will go a far and long way. But you have to believe it, you have to trust it, and you just have to know within your gut and your heart and your soul that you can accomplish and do the things that you want to do. Because I know for me, I would not be where I am today. I probably wouldn't even be alive if it wasn't for me uttering statements like that every single day of my life. So with that being said, I love you guys a ton, and I'll see you in the next video. Deuces.
I like him. He seems nice. I hope he continues to grow. Good video.